Well, hello everyone, and hello to you, Catherine. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. We have a very fun and interesting topic that we will talk about, especially because the New Year's is right around the corner. So we'll be talking about goal setting in 2024. But before we start, for anyone who doesn't know you, tell us who you are.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure being back for the second time. I'm so grateful for this. So thank you. I'm Kathrine Louis. I'm a business and mindset mentor, and I'm the founder of the coaching method, the East Hampton Method. Also, I'm a podcast host, and I just love hanging with my girl. It's
Mm.
like Urmi and I, we got all the good topics. So I'm so happy to be back for goals. Yes.
Yes, yes. So let's start with the first question, which is how do we set goals, especially for the 2024?
Mm. That's such a good question because the experience I make with my clients is that, first of all, you need to set the right goals to begin with. I feel like specifically as women, we have that thing where that we're trying to be realistic. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like we don't dare to really set any goals, which seems like too far us, like too far off, and we're not sure if we could just ever reach them to begin with. And that's actually wrong. I'm not saying it's not good to be humble. However, there's that saying that if your goal doesn't make you scared, you're just not aiming high enough. And this is so true. And I can only encourage you to really ask yourself, if you would know a 100% the answer would be yes, what would you really ask for?
Hmm.
And this is the goal you're setting, nothing else. And I believe this is something we all really have to learn and understand. And most of us have never heard this before. It's always like, are you sure you can do this? Like, this kind of doubting. And this is exactly what you don't want to do.
Hmm. So basically, we should aim for a goal that, makes us go out of the comfort zone, something that challenge us so that we push ourselves to be better.
Yes. And also, it's like if you don't shoot for the moon, you can't land among the stars. And there's something very true about this. It's like you you really want to go for something that makes you nervous so you can actually figure out your full potential.
Yeah, I like this. I actually do very much like this. I think you get to discover yourself and you get to see your fullest potential when you go for something scary. But here's my question, because often we are told that, you should aim for a SMART goal, something that it's like achievable, something that it's small, something that, it's realistic. So if we have, let's say, an ambitious goal, what do we do? How do we break it down, for instance?
This is a good question because what we want to do then is we want to reverse engineer. So really
Hmm.
take a pen of paper, pen and piece of a pen and a piece of paper and write down this super big goal and then break it down. What is it that you can do that you know for a fact you can do today or this week that makes you one step closer to this super big goal,
Okay.
right? And I really want you to write this down because we often feel like this is why we don't dare to go for those unachievable quote unquote goals is because we don't know how to get there. But let me tell you this, you don't have to. All you need to know is the next step. And from that point of view, you're going to head to the next step. All you ever need to know is the next coming up step. And I bet when you take this big goal and you want to reverse engineer, you know at least one thing that you can do about this to actually get that next step ahead. And that's all you need to know for now.
So still talking about this because, going for like a big goal, sometimes we get demotivated. And we
Oh,
know for a fact that people who start having goals at the beginning of the year, they just give up, I think, as of February. So what do we do to stay motivated?
well, first of all, I understand that I think Okay, let me be very honest and frank right now. The thing when we get demotivated is when we quote unquote fail.
Hmm.
Like we have this big goal. We're so January 1st is hitting. We're so motivated. Like this year is the year, right? And then we have this strategy. We have this plan. We're like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get there. And then the first bump in the road is gonna appear.
Yeah.
It's gonna appear at some stage, no matter what, no matter how motivated you are, no matter how many strategies you may have in place, there is inevitably something going to show up that is going to challenge you, and that needs to be expected. I
Hmm.
think the biggest point when we all tend to give up, when we're demotivated, when we feel like, you know what, that probably was a little bit too big, and maybe I don't even deserve this. Sounds familiar?
Hmm.
Then this is when we tend to be like, okay, we might reconsider this one. But no, you should not. What you definitely should do instead is knowing that there is going to be difficult times, knowing that you need to expect challenges. And I think when you're mentally prepared for that, because you should not see those as hard times, but really consider them as redirections. It's just like,
Hmm.
okay, we need to shift a little bit here, we need to pivot a little bit of here in the strategy, but that doesn't mean you should be giving up. It just means like, okay, take another perspective. What could I do differently here? And that should actually be motivating you.
Hmm. I'm assuming what you want to go with it is to be more tenacious because you said like, don't give up or, see it as with a different perspective. So it's all about like being tenacious enough to, make sure that I don't give up even though I see a hurdle on my way, basically.
Well, I think yes. And also, I feel like when we go about our goals, like we need to be motivated all the time. You are a human being. Human beings are not motivated 360 days per year. It's impossible. Show me one person who is. So, what you should do instead, maybe, is ask yourself on those days I'm not being motivated, how can I still push through?
Hmm.
Like, getting to your goal is not about being motivated all the time. It's impossible. You have emotions. You're going to have happy days. You're going to have sad days. It's a part of life. And it's to be like, this is also a beautiful thing about life. But success and achieving goals is especially about consistency.
Yeah.
So when you're coming up with a strategy, when you're coming up with a plan, you should definitely plan specifically for those days you are not being motivated, and then have a plan in place how you can still be consistent about it. And I think this is something most people miss when coming
Hmm.
up with those beautiful strategies, because that's actually the most important thing about any strategy or plan. What, like you need a roadmap for those bad and rainy days.
Right. Yes, I agree. And how can someone be accountable for achieving their goals? Because yes, we spoke about motivation, we talked about persistence. You need a roadmap. Is there anything that we can make sure that we're accountable for this?
That's a good one. I want to say you should, well, if you know me, I'm a huge fan of journaling. So
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in writing your achievements down. I think it is so important. And you better believe I do that. I have my clients do it because we tend to forget and dismiss them as too small or whatever. So you want to write all of those small achievements down, and then also really set goals as in timelines.
Hmm.
Like, what do I want to have achieved up until, let's say, July 1st? Or
Right.
maybe even break it down into quarters. It really is depending on your situation, what you're striving for, etc., etc. But really make a game plan. Like when you run a business,
Hmm.
you typically have a game plan for the entire year.
Hmm.
You don't just do that for 1 or 2 quarters, but you want to do it for all 4 quarters,
Yeah.
because that's how business runs. And obviously, you're going to adjust things along the way and stuff. However, you want to have this game in place. And I think depending on what kind of goal you're setting to yourself, you should treat it as such as well. Just because, as we talked about before, you're going to have rainy days, you're going to have sad days, and you want to have a game plan so you can hold yourself accountable, but also know what to just sort of almost like automatically do when you really don't feel like doing anything. I think this is the most easiest part, how to hold yourself accountable to anything in life.
Yeah. You know, like in relation to what you just said, there is this podcast that I listened to, and this person was talking about how she makes herself accountable. So basically, it's a little bit like what you said, like every quarter she does like an audit. So she
Mm-hmm.
basically like reviews like at what point she is, if she has to revisit anything, if she has to like
Yeah.
change something. So she said like that's how she like makes herself accountable and then she readjusts based on that. So I really like this technique. I think we often don't do this because we like write down the goals at the beginning of the year and then we just look at them like next year. We just don't look at them for the whole year. So that's probably a good technique, I would say.
Because I feel like, and by the way, I just did a YouTube video on life reset. So if you want to check that out. But really, I feel like you know what, if I could get a dime for any kind of goal setting content out there, we all would be billionaires, let's be honest. But I feel like it is those practical, hands-on action plans
Yeah.
that are missing in those beautiful. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong about those videos, podcast episodes,
Hmm.
whatever. Definitely not. I'm just saying there is practical stuff
Yeah.
missing to actually pull through. And that can only come from experience and actually having achieved goals before, specifically those big unrealistic ones. So yeah, those are the things rarely anybody ever talks about.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is like the missing part really on achieving goals.
Yeah. So I do want to ask you one last thing because you already touched upon it. You mentioned one of the techniques, and that is practical ways to, write down your write down your goals and, practical ways to achieve your goals. You mentioned journaling. Are there any other ways to do that?
You mean like other ways besides journaling, or what do
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah. Like I know.
I
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm a huge fan, as I mentioned before, to really make a plan for the year ahead. Specifically, when this goal, maybe you're an entrepreneur, you really want to have that game plan for all 4 quarters, or maybe you're setting a goal besides your career, you still want to have that. Whenever you're doing something by yourself, for yourself, you want to have a game plan and you want to be equipped. And I'm a big fan of journaling. I'm a big fan of all kinds of audits, as long as they're feeling good for you. I think it's an important one to really understand, because don't do an audit when it doesn't feel aligned with you. When it feels icky, don't do it. Then move to something else. But the single biggest thing is having a big game plan that includes the plans and strategies for the rainy days, and then also, you know, like space and room for pivot and change. Because the only thing I promise you, you can't expect is that a whole lot of things won't work the way you wanted them to. And when you can start with that kind of mindset, and that's actually fair and okay, because this is what life is about. I mean, if we would all be able to like certainly know what's going to happen, that's not how life is functioning. That's not how life is working. So really being aware of that, you be good. You can achieve anything. And I'm saying it, you can achieve anything in life.
Nice. Well, I totally agree. I totally agree with you. If I could add one more, because you're a big fan of journaling, one of my friends told me to do vision boards.
I'm gonna publish a video on vision boards on
Oh,
Sunday. Are you
oh,
kidding? Yes, I love you, but I've been doing my first vision board since 2007.
Vision
And just
boards.
my kids did their first ones today. Oh my goodness, Urbi, we did it again.
I know.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Break it down. How do you do your vision boards?
Usually I use Canva.
Mm.
I use Canva and I think I did it last year. So I wrote like I put images of the things I wanted to achieve and I put it there so that I can see it visually. However, the only thing that I don't do is I don't revisit it. Unfortunately, like I should be like do the auditing part like every quarter. I just don't do it. And I just go back and look at it at the end of the year. So that's the thing that I should not be doing.
No, you know what? This is so funny. And I talk about it in the video. And by the way, if you want to have a free template for your mobile, got that in the video too. Just saying. But you know what? This is so funny. So I typically do like old school cardboard. Okay.
Okay.
I love that. My kids were drawing whatever they want to achieve 2024 on cardboards as well. However, I am used to the fact that you have that cardboard in your bedroom, somewhere where you can see it often. But there's this British author called Roxy Nafuzi. She has been going big on manifesting,
Oh
ballistics.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
believe she just published her 2 manifesting books in the US. She's going through the roof. And she's actually saying when you do the vision board, put it away and do not look at it again up until
Oh.
the end of the year. So you are actually doing exactly what Roxy is saying.
Wow, I'm implementing her technique, I guess.
No, you do. And I was surprised too. I didn't expect this one. I didn't know this because I felt like, to me, it feels like, the more often I look at it, the more I'm like in a vibrational alignment because of this visual stimulation. But she's saying that this might even be setting you under pressure, or, you might be feeling kind of pushed or whatever. So I believe, what again, whatever works best for you. If that is how you love doing it, do it the Roxy way. So I guess that's perfect.
Well, I guess it works. I'm gonna look at my vision board that is like
So
vision
you
board
knew
based.
it all along.
I knew it. I knew it. Yes. All right. So those were all of my questions. I do have five rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready? They just have to be really fast. I don't elaborate too much. Okay. So my first question is, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Those are other rapid questions than before, right? I thought I was prepared this one. Do I have superpower? Make peace.
Hmm, I like that.
Mm.
The second one, if animals could talk, which animal would be the funniest to have a conversation with?
A monkey.
A monkey?
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe.
Yeah.
My third question, if you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Only one?
That's the question.
Oh, or my, this is hard.
That's why I chose
You
this
know I'm a
question.
foodie. How can you?
Okay, just
Mm,
choose one that you love so much.
apples.
Apples? Wow.
Listen, I thought I'm gonna go with truffle pasta because I love me a good truffle pasta. However, if I would need to eat that every single day for the rest of my life, that's only gonna work for like a week. So I'm gonna stick with apples.
You know what they say, an apple a day keeps a doctor away.
See that?
My fourth question is, if you could have a celebrity as a friend, who would it be?
Walter Matthau.
Okay.
He isn't he doesn't live anymore. He was a big, big actor, 70s, 80s. But that was when I was very small. There was this movie I loved with him. So I don't know. It just bumped into my head. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
So the last question, it's hard, this one. Well, at least I think it's
Oh,
hard. If your
okay.
life was a movie, what would the title be? This is why I said it's hard.
My life was a movie. The journey to self-discovery.
Okay, okay. Fair
It's the
enough.
truth. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, those were all of my questions on number of torture. I want to thank you once again for being here. Before we go, do you want to tell us where can people find you?
Of course. So, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I always love chatting with you. And obviously, people are very welcome to find me on my YouTube channel. Also, my podcast, you can and you will. My YouTube channel is at Kathrine Louis. And yeah, I would love to get to know you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I will put all the description in like all the links in the description below. And once again, I want to thank you for being here and I want to thank the rest of the audience. I will see you all next time. Bye bye.
Bye.